tell tonight is tiny. It is of a small and unknown town, and in it a humble inn full because of the census, a man and a woman, she so very pregnant, a knock on the door, an innkeeper whose eyes take in their predicament and has compassion. No room, but alas, there is the barn. The labor ensuing. In that stable, this birth follows that of so many other creatures. Birth, after all, is a very creaturely way of beginning. The most physical, sweat and tears, cries of pain, panting to catch her breath, but eventually one last push and a tiny child. The story we tell tonight is enormous. It is of a world-changing event that brought new hope and understanding to thousands of people, birthed a new religion, and influenced the cultures of millions of people for 2,000 centuries. You and I have gathered here tonight because of the impact of that story on our lives, its ongoing claim on us to bring something to the dark places of our lives, to help us see the world with God's eyes, God's great reversals, the high brought low, the low elevated, and all loved, deeply loved. The story we tell tonight is quiet. It unfolds on the hillsides under a silent star, in mews as quiet as sheep settling together for an evening rest, a fire crackling at some distance from the town wherein all are wrapped in the satin surrounds of sleep. How silently the wondrous gift is given. The story we tell tonight is Hallelujah, and all the angels singing, all the trumpets in heaven, a joyful throng. It is all herald angels singing Gloria in excelsis Deo, and Hodie Christus natus est, and go tell it on the mountains. The story we tell tonight is black velvet, the deepest of oceans, God's good creation, water to cells, to eukaryotes, to multicellular life, and so on, ocean deep, under the darkening sky, night hushed, wherein we tell each other our truest secrets, our deepest longings, finding our soothing comforts of sleep, that life's batterings and bruisings might have time to mend. The story we tell tonight is crystal stars and shining suns and meteor showers in the middle of the day where all is illumined, including our shadowed secrets. The truth is piercing and searing and cauterizing. The wounds are all lanced and set to knit and heal. The story we tell tonight is personal. It is something that will claim you, if you let it, by faith, which is not to say by blind obedience, but rather the web work of wonder that engages us in walking the world where Jesus still walks with us. His words in our conversations, his claim on our hearts, his sinews in our soul. The story we tell tonight is communal. It asks, nay, it demands that we live in community. That our lives be reckoned by the treatment of the least in our midst. It is a story that interlaced the merest of women, the coldest of shepherds, the richest of magi's, the most vile of kings, and the brightest of stars. It is a story that ends in indwelling spirit, something that resides in our usness, in our we-ness, in our connections, in our kindness, in your taking on your neighbor's concerns, in compassion, in each of us taking each other's burdens as our own, the strangers and the angels. We together, Christ's body. The story we tell tonight is about Martha. It's about service, the engaging of our lives in good works and culture shaping and justice seeking. It's about the one who was sent to preach the good news to the poor, freedom for the captive, to set the oppressed free. We who tell this story tonight proclaim also the Spirit of the Lord is upon us. We are impelled to love mercy, to do justice, and to show kindness. The story we tell tonight is about Mary, about worship and adore him, about taking time to let Jesus' words resonate richly in our lives, his presence inspiring adoration, and the mystery of it all, the unfathomable sanctity. It is a story of a Jesus so wondrous that we are not worthy to untie his sandals. We cover our heads and take off our shoes. We tread cautiously, humbly, and then pour our most precious oil upon the body of this host of heaven. The story we tell tonight is about doors shut and hearts closed and hard life. For this is indeed a part of the clamoring of our human condition, where boundaries turn into barriers and we mark who is in and who is out. Family of Jesus in danger, fleeing, disciples of Jesus fearful and fleeing, followers of Jesus persecuted and in danger. Indeed, his form of door opening will elicit the cruelty of the powers and principalities until the door shuts on his very own tomb. The story we tell tonight is about those with open eyes and ears to hear and hands open and hearts cracked open so the light gets in. It's about those who hear the good news and turn themselves around to open indoors and barn doors and heart doors and home doors and church doors, who will break down dividing walls and barriers and divisions, who will remove impediments and fortifications and ramparts. Jesus, Emmanuel, the one who opens the door on God's heart desire, God's august justice, God's sumptuous welcome. The story we tell tonight is mine. It is yours. The story we tell tonight is yours. It is ours. The story we tell tonight is ours. It is God's. The story we tell tonight is God's. It is gospel. The story we tell tonight is gospel. It is news. It is good news. It is the hopes and fears of all the years met in thee, dear Christ child, wherein the holy dwells. a holy dwelling, dwelling here in our midst.